John Little of OmegaShock.com, and this is the SHOCKCAST for January 1st, 2014. 2014, the beginning of the end. It starts with a catastrophe. For the past 25 years, whenever anyone asked me what I thought about the rise of the Antichrist, I always said that it could never happen without a catastrophe. Something so big that people would grab a hold of anything that promises an escape. And over the past couple of years, we've begun to see how that is possible. In fact, many of us have stopped wondering what that catastrophe would look like and started to think about when it would happen. Well, I believe that the when is here. Now, I'm not a prophet, and what I'm going to tell you right now is not prophecy. I could be wrong. And nothing that I'm going to say here is a complete certainty. But I've spent more than 20 years analyzing systems and societies, and along the way I've engaged in finance and private banking, written extensively on global security and foreign policy, and studied my Bible for all of that time. None of that means that I'm right, but it does mean that you should think about what I have to say here. Now that I've done my best to impress you with my resume, let me say that I'm no different than any of you. I just happen to have been at the right place at the right time to see and participate in events that few get a chance to experience. And if I let my long-suffering wife have her say, she'd tell you that deep down, I'm just a 4-year-old that shaves. But let's get to what I'm talking about, and it starts with a catastrophe. Everything that we're talking about points to the rise of the Antichrist and the beast system that will rise with him. And this false Messiah will be unable to rule the world if there is any one superpower able and willing to flout his will. This means that the United States needs to be taken down. The question is how far? That's a very good question. But if we are to hit even half the catastrophes that are on the horizon, we will be taken down very, very far indeed. And this is exactly what they are planning. Here are a couple of quotes to give you an idea. This from David Rockefeller, quote, "This present window of opportunity during which a truly peaceful and interdependent world order might be built will not be open for too long. We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the new world order." Close quote. David Rockefeller speaking at the United Nations Ambassadors Dinner, September 23, 1994. And Henry Kissinger said this, quote, "Today, America would be outraged if UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow, they will be grateful. This is especially true if they were told that there were an outside threat from beyond, whether real or promulgated, that threatened our very existence. It is then that all peoples of the world will plead to deliver them from this evil. The one thing every man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will willingly be relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being granted to them by the world government." Close quote. Dr. Henry Kissinger, Evian, France, 1991. That last one makes me pause. Is there something that Kissinger knows that we don't? Well, this leads to the idea of an alien savior message coming up in 2014. And of course, there's lots that Henry Kissinger knows that we don't, and it appears that aliens are a part of it. I honestly think that the globalists are going to use the idea of aliens to help build their new world order. Some refer to this as Lucifer's great alien deception, and I agree. LA Marzulli believes that the aliens are a Luciferian deception and has mentioned that monthly UFO sightings have skyrocketed in 2013. They went from 1,000 sightings in April to 2,000 in October. It appears that we are approaching some kind of climax. Could this climax happen in 2014? Or will it be 2015? I don't know, but we need to pay attention to this. And that means listening to Tom Horn and LA Marzulli. You can also hear LA Marzulli on Acceleration Radio and on YouTube. Tom Horn's videos are available on Raiders News Update and his YouTube channel. Oh, and just to be absolutely clear, there are no aliens. We can speculate on what and who they are, but one thing is certain, they are not aliens. And both LA Marzulli and Tom Horn have a lot to say about this. So will the globalists set things up so that the aliens can come and save us from catastrophe? Well, it sounds like this might be exactly what they are doing. So look for more of the alien savior message to pop up in 2014. But let's get back to that catastrophe. I see Saudi terrorism and the coming of Gog and Magog. I think that the Saudis are going to be labeled as terrorists in 2014, and I believe that it will start with the Sochi Olympics this February. The lead-up to this started last summer with Prince Bandar's threat to Putin, and it looked like the Saudis are going to make good on this threat. If there is a terrorist attack in the Winter Olympics in Sochi, you can expect that there will be a Russian response. Russia cannot sit down in the face of a provocation like this, and that will mean war in the Middle East. Is this going to be the great Gog and Magog war? It could be. It really could be. Whatever happens, terrorism at Sochi will be the first sign. After that, we'll have to see how Russia reacts. If nothing else, it will be another hook in the jaw, as explained in Ezekiel 38. And then there's financial catastrophe. Both Lindsey Williams and Jim Willey are predicting a 30% devaluation of the U.S. dollar. Lindsey says that it will happen in February. Jim says that there will be a second 30% devaluation soon after the first one. This will cause massive upheaval in the United States and the world. You do not want to be caught in this. You must own gold and silver. Buy as much silver as you can carry, and then buy as much gold as you can afford. But there is worse to come. The globalist contact with Lindsey Williams goes on to say that 2015 will be unimaginably worse. The globalists claim that they are going to engineer a complete collapse in 2015. So we will have a catastrophe in 2014 and a collapse in 2015. If this comes true, we truly will look on 2014 as having been the beginning of the end. And let's not forget tyranny. We are going to see a marked increase in tyrannical events in 2014. We saw a lot of this already in 2013, but it's going to increase dramatically. This will be especially true when the U.S. dollar devaluation hits. Major cities will become centers of unrest, and you will see the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, mobilized along with FEMA. Federalized police forces and federalized National Guard units will be involved as well. Be prepared for scenes of shocking brutality. Again, we saw some of it already in 2013. I believe that it will get much worse in 2014. Also, there's the possibility of civil war. If we can believe Jim Garrow, and I believe that we can, the highest levels of the U.S. Army and Navy have already voiced their opposition to President Obama and have even gone as far as to defy his orders. Should the tyranny described above escalate, we may see some kind of military revolt. This revolt has already started, but has been suppressed, which is why so many high-ranking officers have been relieved of duty. Will the Obama administration be able to keep a military revolt in check? I don't know. Also, there's a possibility of a false flag attack. Jim Garrow indicates that one major false flag attack was attempted and blocked. Will the Obama administration attempt another one? I think that depends on whether the chaos of 2014 will be sufficient to bring about the right conditions for the collapse they appear to be planning for in 2015. If conditions are not chaotic enough, then you can expect some kind of false flag attack to shock America and the rest of the world. Remember that also, the globalists are split into factions. Some factions want to move faster than others. They are also jockeying with each other for supremacy. It is always possible for a false flag attack to be instigated by one of these factions. We'll see. In the final analysis, none of this is written in stone. I believe that God has intervened to delay the plans of the globalists, and he could do so again. This means that some, or even all, of what I talk about here could be delayed, but I believe that it would take a miracle. The question is whether you should sit back and do nothing or prepare. I believe that you have the month of January to get your money out of banks and institutions and into tangible assets like gold and silver. Once we move into February, a U.S. dollar devaluation becomes increasingly likely. War is on the horizon. Should terrorist attacks happen in the Winter Olympics or a false flag attack happen elsewhere, be ready for war to break out. Also, be ready for a marked increase in tyranny and the possibility of civil war of some kind. The social unrest that follows such events will be catastrophic for those living in cities. Food, water, and sanitation will all be disrupted in those areas hardest hit. You will need to prepare for all of this. Please reread the Shock Plan for Getting Ready. Also, pay close attention to websites such as the Survival Blog, the Modern Survival Blog, and Steve Quayle's website, stevequayle.com. And keep an eye out for that alien savior message that's been weaving its way through popular culture. It's the biggest and greatest deception that I can think of. And I do not think that it's a coincidence that globalists have been dropping hints about aliens. Nor is it a coincidence that UFO sightings have increased dramatically over the last few months. Above all, draw close to God and prepare as much as you can. The coming days and years will try our souls, but we will get through all this by the grace of God. With the Lord on our side, we can never know defeat. Are you ready for this?